Hello and welcome to this special edition of Talk Time. My guest today is Mr. GP Singh, the Director General of Police Assam, a 1991 batch IPS officer who is known for his no-nonsense approach to policing. Mr. GP Singh, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much.
See, as the Police Chief of Assam, heading a 80,000 strong police force, you always look relaxed. What is the secret and what are some of the reasons why the DGP of Assam Police, Mr. GP Singh, is always a relaxed man?
There are multiple factors behind this. Number one, I think, is that I am a constant practitioner of yoga and pranayam.
Okay.
So, almost 4 to 5 days a week, I try and practice both the yoga part and the pranayam part at least 45 minutes, 4 or 5 days a week. So that brings a lot of stability to me. Next part, which is equally important or more important, is that from childhood, my children, both my daughters, have done well in school. They have been good at education, school, and then they are settled in life. Both of them are working at respectable positions, both now married. So there is no stress at all. And one of the most calming influence in my life is of my wife. She always says that whatever is destined to happen shall happen. So it's like karmanye vadika raste ma phaleshu kadachan. You have to continue to do what you have to without bothering about the result and the outcome.
You don't hanker after anything?
I don't hanker because Ma Kamakhya has been very kind to us. And when I look back at life, whatever I have achieved, it is much more than what I set out to when I was growing up. So I don't think I have any aspiration which propels me into doing things which are incorrect or inappropriate.
Absolutely, because I have seen your career, because I met you when you were just a young IPS officer. I'm sure you remember our first meeting. That was about maybe 30 years ago. So this has been, you have been leading a very disciplined life and your career growth has been absolutely smooth. That is because, why? I mean, it has been smooth because you follow a certain approach to life, certain disciplined approach to life, as including your work life.
You see, there are a couple of things that one has to understand. In personal life, I am a complete teetotaler. In fact, not even a teetotaler because I don't even take tea.
Yeah.
So I don't smoke. I don't have drinks, any kind of intoxicant. So that is personal discipline. I've already spoken about exercise regimen, which includes, initially it was a lot of running and weights. Now it has slowly shifted towards yoga and pranayam.
Yeah.
And third, and perhaps the most important thing for a police officer, which I tell younger generation of police officers also, more or less stick to the law and to the rules and statutes. Once you stick to them and the processes, once you stick to them, likelihood of problem or likelihood of any police officer facing problem is much less.
Right. Now, obviously, I mean, you are the police chief of Assam. I'm going to ask you a lot of things about how the Assam police has progressed over the years during the last 3 to 5 years. Now, but before that, when you said that you stick to the law, what about political pressure? In your long political career, a lot of people say that, okay, it is very difficult to work sometimes because there are a lot of pulls and pressures, political pressures. Now, what has been your experience? You have worked with different political parties, governments over the years during your career.
First and foremost, I would like to talk to you about the concept of relationship between the political leadership and the police, which is extremely essential for you to understand and also for younger generation of police officers to understand. It's like this, that you have a democratically elected political leadership, which is the political executive of the state. People have elected them. You are duty bound to follow their lawful orders. And I have not seen any political leader asking you to do anything which is unlawful. Most of the times,
Yeah.
whatever they ask you to do, it has its own implications in terms of a larger canvas of people looking at it differently. Because after all, there are different kinds of political colors in the
Right.
entire system.
Right.
So everyone looks at a political decision in a different manner. So that would always be there. But as long as it's a lawful order and it comes from a democratically elected political leader, there is no reason for you not to obey them. You have to follow the lawful instructions given
Have
by
you
the political
have you ever
leaders.
come across a situation where you found that a certain order is not lawful and you refuse to execute that order in your long career?
It happens, but it's not exactly unlawful. It has that, as from our experience of policing, how we perceive at a particular thing and how a political leader perceives a thing are different. And generally it is not about not following that order. It is about discussion between the political leadership, civil
Yeah.
bureaucracy and the police leadership, and then coming to a conclusion and executing what is in the best interest of the people. And I have always seen, whenever something is put up to the political leadership, politely, firmly, and with the right context of law and situation, they always agree to you. I have never found any political leader disagreeing with the judicious viewpoint of police leadership.
Absolutely. How you explain to them is important.
It is important. You should always be very polite, and you have to back your viewpoint with the facts. You cannot just convey your imagination.
Absolutely.
It has to be factual. It has to be based on the context. So many things are there.
Right.
But most important thing perhaps is being polite and being firm.
Now, coming to Assam Police during the last few years, I've seen that during the last 3 years, there has been systematic efforts by the Assam Police leadership to crack down on crime in general, besides, cracking down on drugs. And another thing which we have noticed is that a lot of focus has been given to rehabilitation of those militants who have come overground. Because earlier what had happened is that, some militants may have signed some kind of a peace agreement and they have come overground, but nobody bothered about them once they came overground. But this is the difference this time we are seeing in the last 3 to 4 years, that you are tackling crime in general, you are busting drugs all the time, and you are taking a lot of efforts to honestly and sincerely rehabilitate the rebels. Now, is this part of a revised strategy?
See, first and foremost is that I cannot generally talk about the relationship between the Honorable Chief Ministers and the previous police chiefs.
Right.
But here, what I have seen during last few years, that the relationship between the police chief and the chief of the political executive, that is the Honorable Chief Minister, is confluence of similar ideas, similar goals, and thought process where service to the people is foremost in all spheres. So this confluence, and aided by almost seamless work between various verticals of government,
Yeah.
has given us a space that we can execute the ideas that we had from our vast experience. It has also been aided by the fact that though I have been the DGP for the 2 years, but previous assignment was Special DG Law and
Right.
Order, where I was into everything fully. So it has been a seamless journey where everything was known. We were working on the same path, and the work that was done during the tenure of my predecessor was continued, and it was further accentuated and taken to a stage where now the results have started flowing in. Now, in this particular thing, we have to talk of various verticals. One vertical is of strengthening the institutions which were already there, but which were not working to their true potential.
Absolutely.
Like anti-poaching task force. This task force was there for quite some time. We needed to strengthen it, revive it, and to ensure that the results are obtained. It led to a situation where 2022 was without poaching. 23 and 24 also have seen isolated cases, 1 and 2 cases in 2 years. And we want to keep it that way. Similarly, we took up a process of revival of vigilance and anti-corruption, where fortunately for 3 years I was also a special DG vigilance anti-corruption in addition to the charge of law and order. So during that period I got the general understanding of what situation is in the state, what we need to do and how we need to take it ahead. Then coming to this point where I became the DG, Honorable Chief Minister took over, we gave a final push to it. And from the side of the Honorable Chief Minister, it has been absolutely clear. I can assure you that in no case has he intervened and asked us not to take action.
Right.
In fact, he has always been saying that wherever you get information, you should take action.
You're talking about corruption.
About corruption. So we have been taking action on that, and results are there to be seen. In fact, I regularly review the performance of the Directorate of Vigilance Anti-Corruption, and I have given them some certain guidelines. I have also given them a roadmap how we have to think of improving the vigilance and anti-corruption architecture of our state in the next 5 to 10 years. Because currently we are reducing the backlog. We had a huge backlog of pending cases. Then once we reduced it, then we got into this aspect that how to tackle corruption which is taking place on a day-to-day basis in various departments. So a large number of traps were laid. This will continue.
Right.
Now next is where we can see those who have earned disproportionate assets from corrupt practices, how to go after them following the due processes of law. Anti-corruption and vigilance matters are not that simple, because procedural aspect is very, very important, and courts go in for procedural aspect in a big way. So we have to follow the process. So once we reach that stage, then I think the final war against corruption would start, and we would rid the people of corruption in Assam in a big way. Then third, which is extremely important and critical, is Special Task Force.
Yes.
STF was virtually defunct. It is a 2008 organization, and I remember at that time I was DIG, and I had done a lot of research how STF should be formed. And after that STF was formed, and basic idea was that STF would be the striking force against organized crime and things like that. When I became DG, again I went to the Honorable Chief Minister. I said I want to revive this, and I want good officers there. So I took help of dear colleague Harmeet Singh, who was special DG here, then Patsati Mohanto, who was given additional charge of STF. And then now STF has started picking up, both in terms of action against organized crime and also against elements who are against national security. So these are three institutions which were there, which needed to be strengthened. Then coming to the next two, which were very, very critical and crucial in also answering your question, was a special branch, which is our focal point and a nodal point for handling the national security issues. Now, last few years there was multi-pronged strategy where the intervention of Honorable Union Home Minister was very, very sharp.
Yes.
And he had given us not only directions but also mandate. The Honorable Chief Minister, without whose support this could not have been possible. So we started working on strategy for the last few years, where we had operational part on one side, that we'll continue to take operations. There are 4 major theaters of conflict in Assam. One was the Bodo territorial region. The next was hill districts where there were two, Karbi Anglong and Dima Hasao area. Third was Upper Assam districts, Sadia, Tinsukia, Dibrugarh, Shivsagar, Charaidev, and some areas of Jorhat where we had residual activities of Alpha I. Then fourth area, which generally all of us miss out, is the bordering area of Barak Valley, where Mar militancy, Kuki militancy, etc., is always there. So on all these areas, we concentrated on one side on operations. Second side, we took help of the local pressure groups, local political leadership, and of course, the Honorable Chief Minister was always there. And we started reaching out to these people to join mainstream. And this has paid huge dividends. Now, in the Bodoland territorial region, we have no militancy whatsoever for last couple of years. Similarly, in hill districts, Barak Valley also, except for some inter-border areas where there are some issues, more or less it is quiet. Upper Assam also is quiet. There are fringe areas where there is some activity in terms of incursion into Assam, then going back through neighboring states and to the foreign countries, but more or less things are under control. So all this has been done by the two major branches of police. One is the law and order branch, which handled the operations, and second is the special branch, which handled bringing out these people and then also looking at their rehabilitation.
I'll go into a short break, but before that, Mr. GP Singh, I also understand that during this period, there were attempts, there were 3-4 attempts by new militant groups which tried to form, but they could not because of the vigilance of the police. Is that true? And what were some of these attempts?
See, in Bodoland territorial region, there are constant efforts, in 2021, 22 and 23 to form new groups. In fact, as late as 3 months back, there was an attempt which was nipped in the bud. We have very, very firmly gone after these groups. Similar attempts have been made in the hill districts, both in Dima Hasao as well as Karbi Anglong. And Barak Valley, as I said, that because of incidents in the neighboring states, off and on this happens. But we are very, very firm. And if for next 10 years, if we continue to have similar firm and very, very large number of people do not like my using this word, but if we have a ruthless policy against any new group being formed, which works against the country and against the state, then in 10 years we should have a situation where peace becomes the norm.
Absolutely. On that note, I'll go for a short break. Don't go away. I'll be right back. I'm in conversation with the Assam Director General Police, Mr. GP Singh. Welcome back. I'm in conversation with the Assam DGP, Mr. GP Singh. What do you think about the image of the Assam police now? Because image is very important for any state police force. And one of your tagline, that is tagline of the Assam police, is that from an insurgency-oriented force, you have now become a people-centric force. How easy or difficult was it to bring about this transformation? Because there was a time when people were hesitant to go to a police station to lodge an FIR even.
Well, I would say that whatever we had set out to achieve, we have achieved only partially. There is much more to be done and to be achieved. On 1st January of 2025, the first meeting that I had with the colleague officers and also with the field officers, they were in hybrid mode, they joined us in virtual mode. So I said that a lot of good work has been done on various verticals, and the last frontier that needs to be breached is where we reach out and where we reach a situation where the complaints of misbehavior of police towards public gets substantially reduced. That is our last frontier. Rest of the things we are now well set. We just have to continue working on that.
You have taken a lot of action against police officers who are misbehaving. Like, for example, the OC of Pan Bazaar was suspended.
I have to start from a completely different perspective on this, which is a very strong view that I have held, that this entire process starts from the behavior that police leadership at all levels, and when I talk about leadership, I am talking about DGP right down to the officer in charge of the police station. So these police leaders, from officer in charge of police station to the DGP, when they start behaving with their fellow and junior colleagues in a manner which is personally and professionally sound and good, and then this interpersonal relationship which we generally have with our family members, with our children, with our relatives, I want our officers to behave with the colleagues in that manner. And then these colleagues, they should behave with public in that manner.
Right.
So it is not like you ask your junior officers that you will behave good with public, but as leaders, we do not behave well with our juniors.
Colleagues.
So we have to start with that where...
have you told this clearly in open meetings?
Absolutely. Absolutely crystal clear. And it is a practice that everyone in this headquarter and all other offices are being nudged to follow. And I have a feeling that once the junior colleagues, they see that they are getting good behavior from their senior colleagues, then they would have reflection of that in their behavior with public. I personally feel that leadership has to live by example. When we talk in terms of police people being drunk in public, leaders have to start themselves. Even if some of the police leaders are in the habit of once in a while social drinking, they should not be in public domain when they are drunk. They should not be reaching out to places where the police is supposed to reach in a drunken situation. Because if senior leaders do not do that, then junior colleagues would obviously not follow what you are saying.
Right.
So you have to lead by example. Second, which I have very, very firmly believed, that police leadership also needs to be physically fit, because physical fitness is very, very important, because a physically fit mind is a good housing case for a good mind. A good mind can generally reside in a physically fit body. So once that happens, then everything flows from that.
Yeah.
So all these things are interconnected. First and foremost, as I said, is the leadership living by example, leading by example. Then these things would slowly and slowly go away. So I think over the period of next few years, I am hopeful that Assam police would become true friends of people. Of course, there would always be complaints against police, because police is the regulatory arm of the state. So those whose interests are hampered and hurt, and some of them are well placed in society, would always continue to complain.
Are you also taking the help of counselors to counsel, professional counseling to at least a certain ranks of the police?
That is always there, but I still feel that it has to start from the top. And counseling and everything is first needed at the top. Top has to start showing to the junior colleagues that this is the right way, and that is how the junior colleagues would behave with the people.
Now coming to the crime situation. Now, on the 1st of January, the Chief Minister was, you were also present, the Chief Minister was interacting with senior journalists in the state. It was a very long interaction, where he said he was very satisfied with the decline in the crime rate, etc. But my question to you is, there appears to be a concerted bid to reduce crime against children, crime against women, including child marriage. That has showed tremendous results, positive results.
See, again, crime is something which is very, very, very interesting. We need to first understand that you cannot look at any crime in isolation. Your approach towards crime has to be on all verticals, all facets of crime. So what we decided initially was, because Assam police had faced militancy for a very long period,
time. Yeah.
law and order issues were there. So investigation of crime was in a fairly poor shape. It had reached an extent where the conviction percentage had reached to roughly about 5%, which was one of the lowest, if not the lowest in the country. Our charge sheet percentages had plummeted to 30, 33%, 34%, which again was one of the lowest in the country. We took it as a challenge, and one thing that has helped has been the regular SP's conferences chaired by the Honorable Chief Minister, where again, as I said earlier, the political executive and the police leadership were on the same page that this has to be tackled. And then we started this process that every police station there would be a regular discussion on pending cases. Every district there would be regular weekly, fortnightly, monthly review. Every range headquarters the same would be done. And for the first time in history of Assam Police, we started having a statewide crime conference on a monthly basis, which was chaired by the DG, where Chief of CID was there, then Special DG Headquarters and other senior officers were there, where all SPs were there. Lately, for the last 6 months, we have started this process that in hybrid mode, all the OCs are also joining this conference. This has led to tremendous change. From about 34-35% of charge sheet, we have reached a charge sheet percentage of 66 when we ended 2024. And in the first meeting that we held on 1st January this year, we have fixed up a target of 75% charge sheet in 2025.
And what is the conviction rate now?
In conviction, we had plummeted to 5%, which has reached to 22.9% at the end of 2024. We have plans to reach at least 30%. With improved quality of investigation that has been assisted by improved capabilities in forensics and training in forensics for our officers. When the cases which are being investigated now, when they come up for trial, generally there is a lag of 3 to 4 years for a case to reach the trial stage. I am hopeful that in 4 to 5 years, we would be touching a conviction percentage of 50 at least.
50?
Yes, it's easily doable. The way we are going, 50% in 5 years is a target which would easily.
Do you have a
be achieved.
director prosecution now? There was no director prosecution.
That is in the process, though technically there is a director prosecution, but government has now sanctioned a full-fledged prosecution directorate, which is in sync with the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita and Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita. And I am hopeful that in coming couple of years, that would be set up, it would be strengthened. Investigation of crime is, as I have very often said, it is a interplay of multiple factors. It starts from society, comes to the police, then comes the prosecution, then comes the judiciary, and one agency of which generally we do not talk about this entire system of criminal justice process is prisons. Because prisons is the place where most of the people get into sort of further radicalization, recidivism of in crime, all these things happen. So these 5 verticals,
sorry to interrupt you.
They have to work together.
Right. Are you thinking that, is there a thinking in the minds of the security establishment in Assam that, we should keep as less people in prison as possible? Are you thinking on those lines? Prisons are overcrowded.
That's a direction which is there from the state government as well as from the union government, where the people are accused of lesser crimes, or where people have already been in prison for a period of time which is 1/3 in some cases and half in certain cases of the total sentence which is likely in their crime, and the cases are still pending trial, so they should be allowed to go out on bail. We are working on that. This would decongest the prisons.
Has it started in Assam?
It has started.
So few people have been released already?
Yes, few people have been released.
Okay.
But all this is being done after due diligence.
Absolutely. Now, coming to another big aspect, that is jihadi terror. That is another threat as far as Assam is concerned, considering its location. Now, there is a regime change in Bangladesh, and we all know that there is a not so friendly government now. Now, there is in the last couple of months, the Assam police has succeeded in busting a lot of terror modules. At least 20-25 people have been arrested only the last couple of weeks. What does this indicate? Are there homegrown jihadi elements in Assam, or these are under the influence of elements from across the border?
For understanding this entire concept, we have to understand the demographic profile of the state.
Yes.
We are a state where demography is very, very complex and challenging, in the sense that we have about the last census was 2011. 2000 census says we have about 34% of population following the Islamic religion. Then about 4% follow Christianity. Amongst the rest, there are large number of almost 32 tribal groups. And interesting thing is that where we are placed geographically and our history, the legacy of the state,
Yeah.
many of these population groups that I have spoken about have had militant groups in the past. So there are residual weapons that are there, which we are constantly trying to get out. Then coming to the second part, which is geography, we are placed in a situation where we have close proximity to many international borders,
Yes.
some of which are hostile to us. So, and from these hostile borders, not only is there a likelihood of people coming in, but there is also a very strong, not only likelihood, but it actually happens, of flow of weapons. And third, which is significant, which we do not generally talk about, is the flow of ideas.
Radicalization.
Ideas, which are counter to our national security
Yeah.
situations. So these three processes of people coming in, weapons coming in, and the
Ideas.
anti-national ideas coming in, these together place Assam at a place where we are very much open to such activities taking place. Adding to this is what you have said about developments in the neighboring countries, where there was a regime change in Bangladesh on 5th of August. So we are extremely careful. We have intensified our vigil on the border. We are working very closely with the federal intelligence agencies. We are working very closely with the border guarding forces. Then we are also working very closely with the investigation agencies of Government of India for two reasons. One is that they assist us in investigation, and second, a lot of high quality intelligence comes out of the investigation processes. So together, border guarding forces, intelligence agencies, investigation agencies, and Assam police, we are keeping a very, very close watch. But this is something in which we cannot slip even for a moment. This is a real danger. This is staring in our face, and we have to be extremely focused on this. And that is why one of the major tasks given to the revamped special task force is that they have to keep a very close watch, along with a special branch which itself has a very, very elaborate intelligence setup.
Now, my question was also, these elements from outside and homegrown radicalization, do you see a difference in that, or these are part of the same thing?
You see, there would always be a set of people who would have either some axe to grind, or who would always have some difference with the establishment. And these are the people who are
vulnerable to outside influence.
Vulnerable to radicalization. That is again where prisons are extremely important, because many of these people go into the prisons for lesser crimes, burglary, theft, this, that. There they meet people who are already leaders of various kinds of jihadi modules. and these people, they radicalize them.
So are you keeping watch in the
yes,
prisons also?
It is a scheme which is not
in the prisons.
Yes, it is.
You're keeping a watch in the prisons also.
It is a scheme which is very, very closely being monitored by the Honorable Chief Minister and the Honorable Union Home Minister, and we have been advised and directed to keep a very close watch, especially in light of the
prison activities.
Yes, especially in light of the fact that not only we are housing various kinds of leaders of insurgent groups of Assam, we have jihadi leaders who are there in prisons. Then we have in our prisons separatist leaders of other states. So all that is a concoction which requires very, very deft handling and very, very close watch over the entire situation.
Absolutely. On that note, I'll go for a short break. Don't go away. I'll be right back. I'm in conversation with the Assam Director General Police, Mr. GP Singh. Welcome back. I'm in conversation with the Assam DGP, Mr. GP Singh. Now you see, you are well aware of the fact that the Pakistani army is now going to train the army in Bangladesh. In fact, all the 10 commands of the Bangladesh army are going to be trained by the Pakistan army, and this is going to start as early as February, that is next month. That means, obviously, the ISI activities are, ISI is going to get a clean playing field in Bangladesh if that is so, and that creates a new front as far as Assam is concerned.
I have very strong faith in Assam police and the cooperation and coordination between the federal agencies and state agencies,
right,
including Assam police. While what you are saying may be correct, may not be, because these are issues on which I do not want to delve into. I can only say that Assam police is competent and fully prepared to handle these challenges, and we would not let our people down.
Right. Now, another trend which we have witnessed is that earlier used to arrest infiltrators from Bangladesh and keep them in jails, and over time they would get bail. But now what we have been seeing is that you just, as soon as they come in, they're caught and pushed back. I think that's a very interesting way of dealing with it.
One of the factors behind this is that Honorable Union Home Minister and Honorable Chief Minister, immediately in the aftermath of developments in the neighboring country, had a detailed discussion where we were given this direction that along with central border guarding forces, we have to be extremely alert on the border. So we have been able to detain these people at the border itself, right, before they enter. So that is the point where we identify, once we are sure of their identity as belonging to a different country, then we push them back from there itself, instead of trying to bring them here and then giving them an opportunity where they make use of our processes, and then later when they are released, they again mingle with the Indian populace. So that's why we have decided that wherever we are detaining anybody on the border itself, we should coordinate with the border guarding force of the other country and we should push them back.
Right. Now, all the militant groups in Assam have now come over ground. In the last couple of years, about 11,000 militant cadres have been rehabilitated after they have signed peace accords and come off ground. The only group that is out of this whole peace purview is the Ulfa Independent, led by Paresh Barua. Question is, do you think Paresh Barua will be, what is your assessment? Do you think Paresh Barua will be ready to, negotiate with the government of India, give up his ideas and come over ground like every other militant group in Assam has done? Or do you think Paresh Barua is slightly different?
My perception is that my wish comes true.
Yeah.
And my wish is that Mr. Paresh Barua understands the development trajectory of Assam. I have been in Assam now for 3.5 decades.
Yes.
Where Assam was and where Assam is
today
is a huge difference. And more than that, I see, because I have traveled extensively throughout the globe, And within the country, there's hardly any part of the country where I have not been, and I understand our country very, very well. Assam is the future growth engine of the country, along with the Northeast. And the way things are poised today, this is one area where there is huge potential for investment and returns on investment. It's very simple that people are aspirational, and there's a huge market available. So the growth would be natural. Plus, geographically, the way it is placed, it is gateway to the entire Southeast Asia for our country. So it is poised at that point, and I am sure Mr. Paresh Barua, wherever he is also watching the changes that are coming. He is also watching the change in the aspiration of the people of Assam. I would wish and hope that while we will continue with our operations, we will continue with our policies of taking action against an insurgent group, he also understands this entire concept, and he does not indulge in any activity, or the group led by him does not indulge in any activity which takes Assam away from this trajectory. Now, in the month of November, we had a World Tourist Mart in Assam,
Yes.
where the global leaders in tourism industry, travel industry assembled in Assam. The basic idea was that how Assam could be projected as a tourist destination in the entire world. It has already started showing results. We had 76 lakhs tourists in the last financial year. We are looking at crossing the 1 crore very, very soon, either this year or definitely next year. Then we have Advantage Assam Summit scheduled for February. We have had investment by Tatas of 27,000 crores in a semiconductor plant. So these are all indicative of the growth trajectory of Assam. Now, my only wish is that nothing should happen which should create doubt in minds of the investors and in minds of the people who want a prosperous Assam. What was heartening to note in this entire recent move towards what I have described, that at no point in time the security situation in Assam or peace in Assam was discussed. It was taken as a given that it has established, it is there. Now, yesterday I was talking to some person, a very, very senior person who is associated with this entire process, and he was saying that in entire deliberations, whether they were about the tourist mart or about this Advantage Assam, people have generally not talked about peace, because that is taken as
that's
given,
taken as granted.
that yes, it is already there and it would continue. People are talking about what are the further areas where we can develop infrastructure. So these are the things that I hope Mr. Barua also understands, and since I have a feeling that he has good of Assam in his mind, and I very strongly believe that I may not be born in Assam, but I also have the good of Assam at the core of my heart. Reason being that wherever I am in my personal life and in professional life, substantial contribution is of Assam and people of Assam. And that is where I have no difference of opinion with anybody who thinks good of Assam, that ultimately the ideology, perception, etc., part, the basis should be good of the Assam and good of the people of Assam. And that is where I don't think that Alpha would do anything which would hamper this now.
But the question arises, the question comes, whether he comes or not will depend on the government. The government has to open channels of communication and openly invite him talks like it did with others?
See, that is something that has to be discussed and deliberated by the political leadership.
Absolutely.
Whatever I have spoken to you is as a person who's interested in good of the Assam and who believes that Assam has come of age, and now all of us who have good of Assam in heart and mind should do anything which hampers this trajectory. I am only saying that much.
The way you talked, about the growth and all, about the investment summit, you almost talked like a corporate CEO, because the Assam police is also, I don't think I'll be totally off track. Assam police has contributed in a big way to Assam's GSDP growth. If you ask me why, because peace is a prerequisite for development, and if there is peace, there has been peace, and that is the reason why the GSDP has grown.
See, there are.
And Assam police has a major part in that.
We are paid by the government for that, and I take pride in the fact that the entire Assam police, they have risen to the call of the time, and they have ensured that this entire development story that political leadership has as its vision, we have contributed to that. We have ensured that rule of law is firmly established on ground. We have not taken any action which is unlawful.
Absolutely.
And I always say, and I repeatedly say, and this is for a lot of people who criticize various actions, that police is perhaps the only organ of the state which is subjected to multiple control mechanisms, regulatory mechanisms. We are first and foremost, we are open to public criticism. Governmental regulation controls are there. Judicial controls, judicial regulations, judicial mechanism are there. Then various human rights, National Human Rights Commission, State Human Rights Commission, they are there.
And your own Police Accountability Commission now.
State Police Accountability. More than that, and I put it at the top of everything, is the regulatory mechanism of conscience of each one of us. I don't want to do anything which my conscience doesn't allow me to do.
Right.
So, most of the police officers think like that. And again, I'll go back to the same thing, that after doing whatever you have done, if you can go back home, hold your head high in front of your own parents, wife, children, and appear in front of whichever God that you have faith in, with your head held high, that you have done the right thing in the interest of the people of the state and people of the country. I think that is the biggest regulatory mechanism.
Absolutely. I think that is very well said. Very well said. My final question to you. We can go on with this conversation. My final question to you is: what do you cherish most out of your tenure in Assam so far? And why I am asking this question is because there are rumors that you are going to leave us and go away and take up the responsibility of a central force or a central agency.
What I would cherish most is the goodness of the people. As I said, I have traveled extensively throughout the world and throughout the country. Rarely do you find people who are so good at heart. And the personal life that I have, my behavior, my approach, my attitude towards people, towards everyone else, is largely molded by what I have got from the people of Assam. And similar has been the impact of this goodness of the behavior of people on my children, because I have seen them grow up here. They have imbibed the best values of the social system and social interactions. And I am very, very happy that my children grew up in Assam. That I think I would not only cherish, that is something that I take away from Assam. I am not likely to be here. Even if I do not go now, I have 3 more years to go. So after that, I would go, because I am not likely to settle down here. And because both my daughters are working in Delhi,
Yeah.
so it makes more sense for me to go and stay there. So I would always take that with me wherever I am. And I think that is the most beautiful thing. And I hope with the change in societal complexities and other things, because of globalization
Yeah.
of the world,
Yeah.
the goodness of people of Assam stays the way it is.
Absolutely. Mr. GP Singh, thank you
Thank you
very
so
much for speaking to me.
Thank you.
It was indeed a pleasure.
Thank you.